I'm going to try to finish this, so this will be the third one if I can get it up. I don't think I have room on this. The phone's full. I'm back to where Lois Pearson, I'd done the book, and I went to, thought I was going to Abilene to my husband's or ex-husband, to his sisters who was CPA, and she was going to help me get a job. I was going to stay there a couple of weeks. And when I called her, and it was okay. This is 8th of March, about the 8th of March of 80. And I didn't have much, money, and I slept in the stop area a night and went out and got to Mesquite, Texas, outside Dallas. I had the money there, and I called her the next morning. I said, I'm here. It'll be there in a few hours. Well, now then, overnight almost, she changed. Well, you can't come. You're no longer welcome. So they planned it. She planned it with them, too. So I turned around and went back, and when I went back, I didn't have a apartment anymore, and I've explained this, what happened, the letter from the FBI, and asking the manager, who told me that her uncle was in charge of he was FBI in charge of the Patty Hearst. And I didn't know about being kidnapping, so I didn't know the connection to Patty Hearst's family. Here I'm running to the Atlanta Journal, which was owned by the Hearst family then, trying to seek help. Then I find out in '83 that I'm the daughter of King Edward VIII and Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Queen. This whole thing was made up by the mafia, the Illuminati, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Bilderbergers, Uncle George the illegal sick. They installed him. There was never a Wallace Simpson married to my father. She married a double imposter. And here's, it's on TV now. This is the new baby. Everybody's locked into William and Kate, and they're illegal. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. If there's a God in heaven, I hope they're locked up and their asses hauled into court, and they're punished appropriately. You can't repay what's been done to me and my kids. Here's the sorry sots. Here's Harry. The whole bunch of frauds. And they're calling Meghan Markle the American princess. My mom, they don't even mention. Hell, they don't mention, and I'm using proper language here. These people have committed crimes unbelievable. They're frauds. My mom's not even mentioned. You find her dying 2 or 3 different times in history. People will talk about George O'Keefe, who's my aunt, but they don't mention my mom was Queen of England. They don't mention any of the lies and this bunch of thugs up there. So now then, back to where did I get to? If I can get this up, I'm to turn around coming back from Mesquite, because this was all planned, I know now. Laura had gotten me out there, and when I got to Mesquite, she told me not to come any further. I was no longer welcome. So overnight, she was supposed to have changed her mind, right? I get back, and my apartment, Laurelwood Apartments, allowed my ex-husband to take my lease, my furniture out of Laurelwood, and it was another apartment within Laurelwood apartment, same complex, but they had allowed him to, in essence, clean out my apartment, my furniture, move up the street just a couple of apartments up, and sign a new lease with my deposit, put my furniture in it, and when I came back, I couldn't get a key. And I'm going to leave this at this because time is about to go off on this one. I went to Lois Pearson's the end of March. Someone I'd met in word processing, because I was in bad shape. And my son Scott said, Mom, while you were gone, Dad put you on his insurance policy. I thought you should know. Now, I'm supposed to get a $100,000 policy was supposed to be maintained, plus of half of anything my husband would ever have. And it didn't matter if we were divorced, remarried, or what. Well, we're supposed to be divorced. That was in the divorce decree. I didn't do that. He came, I should have known something was wrong. Then he came up to my attorney and dictated all this to my attorney. So even if I remarried or he remarried, I was to get $100,000 life insurance policy plus anything he should have. Well, I don't think he really had anything. But anyway, my point is, while I was gone, they took my apartment. I went to, because it was so bad, at the apartment where John had moved my furniture and everything into and had my lease. And, well, even the few bucks I had in my bank account, he used. Nobody would do anything about it. So I went to her place, Lois's. I'd met her in word processing, and they put antifreeze in me that night. I went to West Paces Ferry, Chelton, who was these names are way up there. Nobody's been held accountable, nothing. Instead of doing a tox screen, they're not supposed to be able to do that. I went to see what they had put in me. And to make a long story short, Beecham, they didn't lock me up. You're supposed to, well, I wasn't supposed to be there. But they kept they put me back there, and a British nurse saved my life. I couldn't get to my kids. I couldn't get out. Here's what they told me. They told me they would, I'm in hell because they put antifreeze in me. I should have died. This is a living hell. And later, I'm going to put this in here because later, they put this up on TV, and I think it was HLN and those forensic, but I saw it more than once. There was two people associated with Forsyth County, which has something to do with this in Georgia. One of the men was from there. I don't know if he worked for the rescue unit or what, but they were connected with law enforcement. Their wives, they married the same woman. She killed the first one with antifreeze, and they're associated indirectly with Cobb County where this happened to me. And this was on TV. They got her, but you have to wonder if she was under mind control. You can't just do that like that worked out. But anyway, by all means, I should have died. And I'm going to make a long story short because my husband, came back from, it's going to go off. He had suddenly been to California, which he had never been. He comes back, and he comes in, and I've put all this up, what they did to me there. They threatened me if I tried to leave, they'd have an intern hold me down and feed me intravenously. And I'm not going to tell you with what. It was a horror story of what I was going through. I thought, sure, you talk about pain, that's something that's a hell in its own, and what they were doing to me. So I'm going to leave it here to where John came back, and it was Easter, was on Sunday, that following Sunday. He took me to I thought I was going home. He asked me though, he said, will you come back and be my wife? And oh God, if I had to do over, I would have said yes in the condition I was in and what happened. I thought I'd go back to my kids I was crying to in my apartment, which he had taken. But anyway, that didn't happen. He took me to another hospital there, which was a fancy one where they sent alcoholic doctors. It was owned by doctors, Rich something, I can't remember, Ridgeview. And I spent one night there, and you should see who I talked to while I was there. At least the doctor didn't try to kill me. McCarthy, I think, was his name. And anyway, the emergency room doctor wasn't even, I just said his name, wasn't even supposed to be at that hospital. So nothing's ever been done about it. I did get a call to the FBI when I was there at West Paces. I went for a tox screen, and they said to me, we're doing everything we can do from this end. Well, maybe I do have some time on this one. Anyway, now then, I thought, I'm begging to go home. And I don't know if anybody ever can imagine that kind of pain. I've had pain all my life, but this was something else. And by all means, I should have died. And I'm leaving now. I've put it up before what happened while I was in there. It was a nightmare. Uh, I thought I was going home. when John came back to get me, he had moved me there at Easter, Passover or something. What was it, Friday? And to this place, I thought I was going home. And anyway, there's something said about his insurance, and they had it planned. This was all planned. So I stayed there Friday night. Okay, the next morning, and the hell I was in, and I couldn't get to my children, anything. Oh, I came out thinking I'm going home, and I'm just going to tell this. Philip, I grew up with. I thought he was a brother, half brother, and I find out it's a name game and all this, and I don't think Philip was even born to that woman, Lina. That's where I was put, and she had twins out of wedlock and had killed them. I don't mean to cause Philip any pain because I loved him, and he did the best he could, and I understand to a great degree why he couldn't help me, and maybe he has in other ways. But his wife didn't even Nancy didn't make up about trying to help me. I was shoved into Lina Dempsey's car, the mother of the twins, where I was taken by JFK and the Kennedys and the Illuminati, your mafia, and at 41, and told to call her mother and she'd kill the twins. I put this up. Anyway, I was shoved in the car, and the condition I was in so much pain, and I'm standing there begging to go home. I thought that's where I was going, back to the apartment. And I can remember they did me like you do in a cop when he's putting someone in a car, locking them up. You put their hand on your head so it doesn't bump the top, I guess, and shove you in the car. That's what they did to me. And that woman, Lina Dempsey, in fact, I told her, I said, "You're kidnapping me." I didn't know about my real kidnapping back in 41, all this about the twins. What with her, she was afraid that if the book got published, that people would find out all of this about my real name and her killing the twins and the cover-up and all this, and she would face the gas chamber. Anyway, it ended up that I went back. I couldn't get out. I didn't have any money or anything. And look at what my husband or ex-husband had just done. So I'm going to get there. And she told me that if I tried to get out of the car, she'd call the police. She got back to Huntsville. She dropped me off at Crestwood, and that was another couple of weeks in hell. And they did not do, none of these hospitals that was Paces Ferry, first of all, they didn't do the talks. They didn't do any of the things that are required when entering a hospital. It was all illegal. All of it, this has been. And I'm afraid to even talk and even tell this. It's so horrific. Nobody wants to hear it. Anyway, at Crestwood, you don't want to know I can't even tell it all, so I'm just going to skip it. So it's Easter Sunday. Do you know the blood tests are supposed to be taken when you enter the hospital? I'm asking for a tox that was done. It wasn't a tox, was it? Never done a blood when I went in. Instead of doing the tox screen and I was supposed to leave, I was trying to find out what was given me so it could dilute it or something, because I knew it was bad. So now then, that wasn't done. They said it got contaminated. My urine got I laugh because it's so preposterous, and that's the only way I can get through it. So if this is still going up, and I'm going to stop here. Oh, the blood that's required, and well, it was a tox screen. I was asking for another one even there. And you don't want to know the doctor that was assigned to me and his connection back to Hyman Miller, a Jew there, that, oh God, if it's ever told, it would take the whole bunch of them down. I'm talking about Elizabeth and all of this. It's such a horrific crime. And it's ongoing. But anyway, tox screen was done. Now, I asked for it on a Tuesday, remember, when I went to West Paces Ferry in Chelton. High name, and the doctor there in Had a letter from the FBI, all of this back then. Didn't do me any good. Now, I asked for it, and I can hardly live. I mean, you just don't see how you can live under the conditions that what they've done to me. This is the following Wednesday, which would be Tuesday was April Fool Day, and this is Easter's on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. That finally they drew the blood, and when it came back, they wouldn't let me see it. They gave it to my ex-husband. He came over, he got a copy, and he gave it to me. Now, you put it together. Supposedly, I found out that John was supposed to work for the CIA. I never saw, I know people that were CIA that told me. Okay. So anyway, it showed, what was it, 0.19%. And then it had something down at the bottom. I don't even know what the hell it was. I've never done anything. I didn't even sip them. I don't drink. I never have. I've never done anything, taken a drug illegally, anything. This whole thing has been so preposterous and what it's done to me and my children. And I haven't even, let me put it this way before this goes off. Someone asked how I got separated. I'm not going to go into the rest of it because after I found out about who I am and my dad, my children are in line for the legal monarchs after me. The day I was born, I was the legal monarch. So your William and Kate and Harry and all that, and Charles is a bunch of crap. They're war criminals, and Elizabeth and her father, illegal George VI. So my children are at risk. I didn't know this thing until 83. And I'm going to have to shut this down. I'm so tired from putting it up for 5 years and running all over the place when I found out the press already knew it. They're controlled by the Illuminati. They've always known it before I did. But anyway, my husband or ex-husband gave me the... he got it, walked in and got it. Talk screen come out and gave it to me. Now, I found out that he was supposed to, right after this happened, I could never go home. I went to work for the district attorney, Fred Simpson, in 1980, about the end of May, and I couldn't even type hardly. I couldn't remember. I was from the antifreeze being put in me. And I was told not to talk about it. But now Fred Simpson, so you're getting in, he's a DIA, he's a district attorney there, Madison County, Huntsville. He was a good guy, and that bunch of assistant district attorneys were. So it's almost a clue to my identity. Later I find out in 83, Simpson Wallace American was supposed to marry my dad, which was a lie. He never married her. He was married to my mom. And so I worked at the district attorney's office, passed a background check by the Sheriff Patterson that's required to work there. And lived at Warren House Apartments. And Warren is like associated with the Warren Commission that the JFK helped in my kidnapping and all this. Warren Commission covered up his shooting because it would lead back to what the Illuminati, the Mafia, and what they did to my dad and me. So it goes on and on from there. But my children, I lived in fear that they were going to be killed. I can remember my son Scott and Mark saying, "Mom, I want to live with you." I couldn't tell them